Perfect. Thank you so much. That's a very important question. Maybe I'll give a bit of background. Whenever we conduct clinical trials, we first and foremost, we are concerned about participant safety. So whatever we do, whatever intervention we are looking at, we want to ensure that there is no harm done to participants. So in HPTN 084, the long-acting cabotegravir, it was found to be safe. When we compared cabotegravir to oral Truvada, it was safe. How do we determine safety when we are doing the studies? We look at adverse events. We compare the adverse events in the long-acting cab arm and compared to the oral Truvada. So there was no major difference in terms of the occurrence and the severity of adverse events. Obviously, in terms of injection site reactions, because the other one was oral and cabotegravir was injectable, I think that's those are the adverse events that we saw, injection site reactions. So the place where you are injected, there can be a bit of pain, swelling, nodule, redness, and so forth. But these injection site reactions, they resolved spontaneously on their own. So long-acting cabotegravir, very safe, number one. Then in terms of efficacy, it was found to be superior to Truvada, to the oral Truvada. How superior? It is almost 9 times superior to Truvada. So cabotegravir, long-acting cabotegravir, highly effective and safe in terms of its safety profile. So to start off with, yeah. Thank you. That's another very important question. Whatever modality or intervention that we develop as a clinical trial specialist, we must always work with the end user. So the young women, we need to find out from them what challenges are they facing in terms of adherence to PrEP, in terms of persistence to PrEP. So when we look at the challenges that young women face, they are multi-levels. It starts with the structural, the policy, the clinic itself, the staff at the clinic. Do they give oral PrEP? Do they do good counseling? Are there long queues? Is it far to go to the clinic? Those are some of the structural policy barriers. Then there's the community barriers, stigmatization, intimate partner violence, for example. These young women might have poor adherence or low adherence and low persistence because of intimate partner violence. Then there's the personal barriers. If I'm a young adolescent girl, I might not see myself at risk for HIV. So the adherence, persistence might be low. So the second question is, do I think that long-acting cabotegravir will take care of this? The answer is, I'll say yes, it will take care of most of the problems because what most women have complained is that tablets, they rattle a lot. They don't like the rattling sound. So having an injection might take care of me not having to disclose that I'm taking oral PrEP. That's one. And number two, the women can just get an injection and then no one knows about it. And then they, even their partners don't need to know about it. So in general, yes, long-acting cabotegravir will take care of most of the problems, but we still have some issues that we need to address in terms of long-acting cabotegravir. One has to go to the facility to get it injected, and you must get it injected on time, and it doesn't completely obviate the stigma that might come with PrEP. But that having been said, it's not about what is better than which method is better than which one. What we want is for women to have choice. So if there's choice, each and every woman can choose a method of HIV prevention that best suits them. So it's not about outdoing the other modality, but it is for the woman to choose what works best for them. Sure, thank you. So what we need to do, in my opinion, is we need to take the best practices from what we know from rollout of oral PrEP. So what are the lessons did we learn from oral PrEP implementation? We learned that when we're introducing HIV prevention options, we need to use channels and approaches that work and that are preferred by the end user. And we need to work on demand generation. So we need to engage the communities, sensitize the communities about long-acting injectable PrEP so that we create demand. But we should not just create demand with the CAB-LA not yet being available, because right now it's not yet available in the public sector. So we need to make sure that with demand creation, we must make long-acting cabotegravir accessible, affordable, and available to our communities. Otherwise, there will be so much demand that we generate, but it won't be affordable. So let's invest and expand demand generation. And we need to look at service delivery models that work, the ones that allow people to stay on PrEP if they want. We need to use mHealth, for example, multi-month dispensing, HIV self-testing. We need to integrate pre-exposure prophylaxis, long-acting cabotegravir with other sexual reproductive health services, number one. Or we need to ask the potential users, where do they want to have it? Yes. And then we also need surveillance in terms of monitoring. How well do we do this? How well are we doing it? And then we can have evidence-based decision making. And then we also need to have enough resources to allow us to scale up the rollout of long-acting injectable cabotegravir. But all I'm saying is that to roll out long-acting cabotegravir, we should uphold the rights of all people who need PrEP. They have their right to dignity, non-discrimination, privacy, confidentiality. They have the right to access services, equal access, having choice. I talked about choice. So I'll not just promote long-acting cabotegravir, but there is need to talk about the choice, so that the client chooses whatever they want, that there is informed decision making. And we really need to ensure that all we are doing is just, and that there is beneficence. We need to address disparities and inequalities. There are some populations which are marginalized: the adolescent girls and young women, men who have sex with men, people who inject drugs. We don't have enough data on pregnant and breastfeeding people. So we really need to address all the disparities and all the inequalities so that we can roll this out seamlessly. We also need to address gender disparities. So those are some of the quick comments I could give in terms of what do we need to do to roll out long-acting care. We must utilize the lessons that we learned from oral PrEP. We cannot afford to delay as much as we did for oral PrEP. So time is of essence. We really must use best practices so that we can incorporate in CAB-LA rollout. Thank you. Thank you. So I like your questions, and I like the way this interview is going, because you keep on bringing new options, and I'm about choice, having more prevention methods for women. So you are referring to the two studies, MTN 042 and MTN 043, which looked at the safety and acceptability and tolerance of the dapivirine vaginal ring compared to oral PrEP in pregnant and breastfeeding women. So these two studies showed that the dapivirine vaginal ring is safe in pregnancy, is acceptable, pregnancy outcomes are good. Even in breastfeeding, there isn't significant distribution of dapivirine in breast milk. So this means that I've just said a question ago, I've just said that there is a lack of data in pregnant and breastfeeding persons. So this is exactly what we wanted for the dapivirine ring. These two studies showed that the dapivirine vaginal ring is safe in pregnant and breastfeed informed. So the dapivirine vaginal ring study results also very reassuring. So this field is becoming very dynamic. We've got more and more options. There was talk about other modalities in terms of other rings, films, and other next generation HIV prevention methods for women, multi-purpose prevention technologies. So this is an exciting time for us in HIV prevention for women. We are highly excited, and I hope it's propelling us faster to ending AIDS and HIV by 2030. Thanks.